when you decide you want to get into some of these person-to-person lead generation initiatives, you're going to want to make sure that you follow some of these guidelines as do's and don'ts. Number one, when it comes to people, you've got to recruit constantly. That's a do for sure. What most people do is post and pray. And much like we talked about direct mail earlier today, post and pray doesn't work, right? We've got to constantly be recruiting. We have to have the same types of systems and tracking that we have for marketing and lead generation, we've got to have on the recruiting side of the business, especially if you're going to get into person-to-person lead generation. Be a tour guide, not a travel agent. Who knows what I mean here? Be a tour guide, not a travel agent. What do tour guides do? They actually show you around. They take you under their wing. They've been there before, right? The travel agents want to send you someplace they may have never been. They may not be willing to go again, all right? That doesn't work with people. Doesn't work with programs that require lots of people. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and so we have to be tour guides, not travel agents. Do you have a defined process? You know, a lot of people get excited about something. They come to an event like this and they say, we're going to start knocking on doors, or we're going to get to a retail store. We're going to start calling in the call center past customers. And then they don't have the process defined. They don't have the scripting defined. They don't have the comp plans defined. You really can't wing it with this stuff. You've got to have a defined process. And many of you already have these processes. And if you network with each other, you can certainly put that together, but you definitely want to make sure you're not winging it out there. Do set clear expectations and make sure you're giving proper guidelines. Expectations are huge. They have to know what's reasonable, what's fair, what's attainable. Okay, a lot of people fail to provide that picture of metrically what is accomplishable, right? What we expect of you as a marketer. And then lastly, do have accountability. Do not avoid conflict. You have to hold people accountable. You have to have courageous conversations. You have to sit down with them when the metrics are not being reached, and you have to have open discussion as to why that's not happening. Are we bought in? Are we adhering to the process? Do we understand the expectations? And without further delay, I'm going to hand it over to Megan, who's going to talk about how we can increase and maximize conversions for these types of lead sources. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Tony. Let's have a round of applause for Tony. That was great information, wasn't it? All right, so Tony kind of gave you the bones. I want to talk a little more in depth about these lead sources and the different characteristics they exhibit. You guys might have seen this on my social media if you follow me, but here's my new book that's going to be coming out. The Company That Had Massive Success Without Training Professional Appointment Setters and Other Fairy Tales. Okay? If anything wasn't more clear from the large companies we heard speak this morning, all of them talked about this. I don't know if you guys caught on to the common theme. Maybe I'm just biased, so I caught on to it. But what I heard was we need to invest in the call center. We need to invest in the contact center. We need to invest in the first contact that our company has with a new customer. And I heard that we have to train professional appointment setters. And so how do we do that? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to understand the characteristics of these go-get marketing leads, because they don't act the way that other leads do. If you start a canvassing team and you expect the lead to behave like a warm Google lead, you will be disappointed. So will your sales team, okay? So we need to, first of all, understand them so we can approach them in a way that maximizes our conversions, not only from the setting appointment side, but we also need to be able to sell these things, right? We have to be able to do both. And so we need to prepare our sales, marketing, and call center accordingly, okay? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can go back to your company on Monday and say, hey, we're going to start a canvassing team, and give everyone the scripts, and nothing will change if we don't equip the culture to understand and be able to handle these leads appropriately, okay? So we need to make sure that we understand that we can put all the great strategies into place, but if we don't get the team and the company's buy-in, you're just gonna waste payroll. We need to do that first, and that's the part everybody tries to skip. So we need to make sure we understand that. Most importantly, and if you've heard me speak before, you've heard me say this, we have to understand that our appointment setters are selling appointments. It can't be your one office lady that's done the books for 20 years and we just ask her to answer the phone every now and again, guys. She's not going to be invested in selling the appointment. And why does that have to be? Well, we're going to talk about why that is in a moment when we discuss the resistance that some of these leads will exhibit. Now, I'm going to keep it pretty simple for us, okay? I don't know if you're like me. I'm slower than most, so I need to keep things simple, all right? But it's as easy as A, B, and C. And we're going to talk about this a little further in depth. But I want you guys to pay attention to my project dissatisfaction meter, because that's going to be a big key in understanding how these leads behave and how we can actually impact the way that these leads end on the conversion end, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys have heard this phrase before, but change happens when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. What does that look like? Put yourself in your customer's shoes for one moment. If you sell windows, siding, roofing, bathroom, kitchen, coatings, I don't care what it is. Something happened the morning that your warm Google lead called you where the customer got up and said, this garage floor, it has to go. I've got to do something. I've got to, and they, what do they Google? Floors, garage floors near me, epoxy floors near me, coatings near me. Oh, those windows are fogged up. I cannot look at them one more day. And they get on the phone or they go on the Google machine is most likely, and they look for the first company to come up to solve their problem on windows. Okay? So the pain of staying the same, the pain of leaving their project the way it was became no longer acceptable to them even one more day in its current state, and that's when people act.